Before we start the video, I would like to make a quick disclaimer. Most, if not all, of the videos on this channel are intended for a general audience. My videos were not made with children in mind and never will be. As much as I hate having to make this disclaimer, I feel as though it is necessary due to the fact that one of my videos was marked as for kids by YouTube. This message will be included in every future video in order to solidify my point. With all of that being said, enjoy the video. The title of this video is not deceiving. I did indeed rank all 18 of these powerful steam locomotives on a tier list. So in this video, I will be revealing where exactly I ranked each of these locomotives and why I gave them that ranking. Also, I will be going over the history of each of these locomotives, but I'm ranking them based on personal appeal. I'd also like to mention that how they did in real life will also play a part in where I rank them and why. Simply put, I am ranking these entirely based on my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's okay. Just please respect it as I will respect yours. Anyway, here are the tiers, and here's how they work. F tier. Absolutely hate it. E tier. Strongly dislike. D tier. Don't like. C tier. Meh/don't care. B tier. Somewhat like. A tier. I like it a lot. S tier. Absolutely love. Double S tier. The creme de la creme, or the very best. Now that we've gone over the tiers and what they mean, I think it's time that we actually get into the ranking. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year's to all of you. Let's start the video. When it comes to steam locomotives with the word Queen in their name or nickname, many of you will automatically think of Norfolk and Western number 611, the Queen of Steam, or India's Fairy Queen. However, we are going to be talking about a steam queen that is no less deserving of the title, Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe number 5000, better known as Madam Queen. Madam Queen was introduced in the year 1930 during a time where the Santa Fe Railroad desperately needed stronger locomotives to pull heavier loads. The Santa Fe had experimented with making a 2-10-10-2 articulated steam locomotive for this exact purpose over a decade prior. However, this turned out to be a massive flop. Madam Queen was no slouch when it came to power either. In fact, she was able to produce 113,087 pounds of force and at least 6,000 horsepower. This meant that Madam Queen was indeed more powerful than the 2-10-10-2 steam locomotive that I mentioned earlier. This went to show that Madam Queen was indeed a prime example of simplicity over complexity. While her operating days seem to be behind her, Madam Queen still lives on through her preservation at the Amarillo Railroad Museum in Texas. Now, to say that I absolutely adore Madam Queen would be a major understatement. Words cannot express how passionate I feel about this locomotive in particular. And for that exact reason, Madam Queen will be preserved honorably in double S tier. Let's continue on. The United States has a lot of powerful steam locomotives, but very few could match the power of the Chesapeake and Ohio Allegheny. Possessing over 7,400 horsepower, the Allegheny is said to be matched by no other steam locomotive in terms of raw power. 60 Alleghenies were built in between 1941 and 1948 for fast freight service, but they were instead used for heavy coal trains. In some cases, the coal trains that the Alleghenies were regularly pulling would exceed 10,000 tons in weight. It's also worth mentioning that the Allegheny is subject to many debates between whether it is stronger than Big Boy or not. Those who argue in favor of the Allegheny will often mention its higher horsepower output and its more impressive feats of strength. Those in favor of Big Boy will often argue with the fact that Big Boy has a higher tractive effort, higher top speed, more driving wheels, and because of its legacy. However, at the end of the day, both locomotives did their jobs fairly well and made it into preservation to tell the tale. So this argument is just about as pointless as a screen door on a submarine. As of today, 2 Alleghenies are preserved and on static display. They are number 1601 and number 1604. Now I'm sure you guys are wondering just exactly what I think of this Leviathan. If this were a ranking specifically based on power output, the Allegheny would be way up there. However, this is based on my opinion and my personal liking of these locomotives. And the Allegheny, I really don't care for it much. So if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I would personally put the Allegheny in D tier. I could definitely see a few people getting pissed off about this one. Let's move on. The Denver and Rio Grande L97 Challengers were a class of 6 Union Pacific Challengers that were leased to the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad by the Union Pacific during World War II. They were almost identical to their Union Pacific counterparts in terms of design, but they had some slight modifications that changed their performance. After World War II, they were sold back to the Union Pacific Railroad, where they operated for a few years before being sold to the Clinchfield Railroad and being renumbered. They spent their remaining days in service on the Clinchfield Railroad and were unceremoniously scrapped by the time diesels rolled around. I'm going to keep it real straightforward with you guys. I absolutely love these Challengers. They may not get as much attention as their Union Pacific counterparts, but I think that they are no less deserving of any love they receive. And for that reason, I feel as though the L97 Challengers deserve a spot in S tier. Let's continue on. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, I know next to nothing about this locomotive. Not to mention, the railroad it operated on has minimal information on it as well. So unfortunately, I really don't have an opinion on this locomotive because I know next to nothing about it. So I think that this locomotive should be put in C tier because I just really don't care for it because I don't know much about it. Let's move on to the next one. The Norfolk and Western A Class steam locomotive is a...
Why is this locomotive in a desert area? It's not supposed to be in.
Wait a minute. Who the hell are you?
I'm sorry, I'll go now.
Yeah, you better, or else I'll kick your butt all the way back to Nerdington.
Okay, I'm going already.
Phew. Thank goodness he's gone. I am so sorry for that interruption, everyone. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? When it comes to feats of pure strength alone, it is hard, if not impossible, to match that of the Norfolk and Western A Class. These powerhouses were capable of pulling over 14,000 tons of freight individually during their heyday. They could also pull 7,500-ton freight trains at speeds of and above 60 miles an hour. Only one of these marvelous machines remains in existence today. Number 1218, currently on static display, was once in excursion service from 1987 to 1991. When it comes to heavy haul and steam locomotives that I absolutely adore, I don't think I can think of one that I like more than the Norfolk and Western A Class. In fact, I dare say that I like the A Class even more than Madam Queen. So yeah, there is no locomotive that I think is more deserving of double S tier than the Norfolk and Western A Class. Let's continue on. When it comes to powerful American steam locomotives, you cannot leave out the Norfolk and Western Y6B. This is a locomotive that is capable of 170,000 pounds of force and 5,600 horsepower. The Y6Bs were typically used for heavy freight service and even long coal drags. Coal drags such as the one shown in this picture were fairly common for the Y6Bs to handle. However, they couldn't typically handle them on their own. That's not to say that the Y6Bs were totally incompetent when they were working on their own though. While the Y6Bs were noticeably smaller and slower than the Union Pacific Big Boys, they were significantly better in terms of raw pulling power, not to mention they were more reliable for moving heavier loads around. It is also worth mentioning that since the Y6Bs tended to work in the Virginia area, it was not uncommon to see them double head with the Virginian Blue Ridge. Unfortunately, none of the Norfolk and Western Y6Bs have been preserved into modern-day society. However, their predecessors, the Y6As, have a couple of survivors. But now, you must be wondering what I think of the Y6Bs. To be completely honest with you guys, I didn't think much of them at first, but as time progressed, they kinda started to grow on me. They may not be among my favorite steam locomotives, but I still like them quite a bit. So with that being said, the Y6Bs sit comfortably in A tier. Let's continue on. The Pennsylvania Railroad J1s, aka the War Babies. During the time that the J1s were built, the Pennsylvania Railroad wanted new locomotives to handle heavier freight trains, but they were prohibited from making a brand new locomotive design due to wartime restrictions. In terms of design, the J1s were heavily inspired by the Chesapeake and Ohio T1 steam locomotives. Although they were only capable of up to 50 miles an hour, the J1s were fairly powerful steam locomotives. Without a booster, the J1s could produce 95,100 pounds of force, but with a booster, they could produce 110,100 pounds of force. They were also capable of a power output of 5,644 horsepower. Sadly, none of the J1s were preserved into modern day society. However, there are rumors of one of them, number 6435, being buried somewhere. But what do I think of these locomotives? If I'm being completely honest, I really don't have much of an opinion on them, so I really don't care for them that much. So yeah, I would put the Pennsylvania Railroad J1s into C tier. Let's move on. The Pennsylvania Railroad Q2s may be among the most controversial steam locomotives ever built, as well as the most powerful. The Q2s made their mark on history after one of them, number 6199, produced a whopping 7,987 horsepower during a static test. Unfortunately, given that they were duplex locomotives, the Q2s were not without fault. They consumed a lot of water during their runs. They also were prone to wheel slip, and worst of all, they were limited to operate at 50 miles an hour when their peak performance was at 56.7 miles an hour. This meant that the Q2s were not that much more powerful than a conventional Pennsylvania Railroad J1 when traveling at 50 miles an hour. However, the Q2s were much more expensive to maintain. Because of this, when dieselization rolled around, the Q2s were among the first locomotives to be cut up for scrap. None of the 25 Q2s that were built made it into preservation. Now, I would like to make it very clear that I absolutely love the Q2s, so much so that they are the locomotive I have on my menu screen when I open up trains. I also feel as though they were wasted potential because they were not allowed to operate at their peak. And so, with all of that being said, I feel as though the Q2s deserve a spot in double S tier. Let's continue on. The Pennsylvania Railroad S1 was a one-off 6446 duplex locomotive made specifically for high-speed passenger trains. The S1 regularly traveled at speeds of and above 100 miles an hour, and on one occasion was rumored to have hit 156 miles an hour. Her unique and sleek design was made by none other than Raymond Loewy. Unfortunately, the big engine was not without fault. Because of her long, rigid frame, the S1 had a nightmarishly difficult time traversing around sharper turns. Consequently, she was restricted to traveling on one part of the railroad. Sadly, the S1 was retired 7 years after entering service and cut up for scrap 3 years later. Now, what do I think of the Pennsylvania Railroad S1? To be honest, I feel as though the design is absolutely beautiful, and she did what she could very well. However, she was drawn back by several limitations, including her designer's own ambition. So for that reason, I feel as though the S1 deserves to go in B tier. Let's continue on. The Pennsylvania Railroad T1 was one hell of a locomotive that could pull passenger trains at impressively high speeds. In fact, the T1 was rumored to be capable of speeds of and maybe even above 140 miles an hour. Sadly, these were just rumors, and all of the original T1s were scrapped decades ago. However, there is a new build T1 that is under construction as we speak and is said to be done by 2030. Now, if I'm being honest, I am not the biggest fan of the T1. However, I do like it a little bit. Because of that, the Pennsylvania Railroad T1s will be going into B tier. Let's move on. The Southern Pacific AC-9, or as I call it, the Big AC, might be one of the most underrated American heavy haul and steam locomotives ever built. I mean, I'm willing to bet most of you haven't even heard of this locomotive. The AC-9s were typically used for heavy freight service, but were sometimes also utilized for passenger service. Although they aren't among the strongest American steam locomotives ever built, they still were fairly powerful. The AC-9s were capable of 6,000 horsepower and could produce 128,398 pounds of force. Sadly, none of these locomotives have made it into preservation. Now, if it wasn't clear from how I described these locomotives, I absolutely adore the AC-9s. They may not have been up there with the big boys in Alleghenies in terms of pure strength, but the AC-9 still did their job and did it well. Because of that, I feel as though the AC-9s deserve a spot in double S tier. Let's move on though. The Southern Pacific AC-12s, aka the cab forwards, were a very ambitiously designed steam locomotive made for heavy freight trains and sometimes passenger trains. As of now, only one cab forward, number 4294, has made it into preservation. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of the cab forwards. In fact, I wouldn't even say I'm a fan of them at all. It might be their design, but I just really don't like the cab forwards. So yeah, I think that the cab forwards are probably going to go into E tier. The Union Pacific Big Boys are legendary steam locomotives that need no introduction at all. You absolutely cannot be a true rail fan unless you know of the Union Pacific Big Boys. But what do I think of the Big Boys? I personally believe that they are a bit over-glorified and overhyped. What I'm trying to say is that the Big Boys do live up to most of their hype, but not quite all of it. So yeah, I think that the Big Boys deserve to go into A tier. Let's move on though. The Union Pacific's late Challengers are among their most popular steam locomotives and perhaps among the most popular steam locomotives of all time. They were primarily used to pull heavy freight trains, but they proved to be quite useful in passenger service as well. The Challengers may not be as big or intimidating as a Union Pacific Big Boy, but one of them actually managed to pull off a feat much better than what we've seen from any Big Boy. During a special excursion run in the year 1990, number 3985 pulled a very heavy double container train entirely on its own. This train consisted of 143 cars, weighed 7,657 tons, and was nearly 9,000 feet long. As of today, two of the late Challengers have made it into preservation. Number 3985 is currently undergoing a restoration, and number 3977 is on static display. Now, let me tell you what I think of these Challengers. I absolutely love the hell out of them. They are amazing locomotives, they have a wonderful design, they performed really well when they were in service, and most of all, 3985 is getting a chance to run again. So yeah, the late Challengers will go into double S tier. Let's move on. The Union Pacific Fetter Challengers, or the early Challengers, are often regarded as the Challenger prototype. Their performance was very remarkable, so much so that a few other railroads were inspired by the design to make their own Challengers. However, none of the original Fetter Challengers have made it into preservation. Now, I will be the first to admit that I personally don't care for these Challengers. They did their job and they did it well, but I feel as though they don't stand out to me. That being said, I am going to place the Fetter Challengers in C tier. Let's continue the video. Unfortunately, I have not been able to dig up much information on these locomotives. However, I have learned that they were given 2 different railroads for them to use. However, the reason I did include it in this ranking is because I felt as though it was honorable enough to include. Say what you will about this, but I think that these locomotives have a remarkably interesting design. While they aren't exactly a favorite in my opinion, I do feel like they deserve some love. And so because of that, I will place them into B tier. Let's move on. The Virginian Blue Ridge locomotives were a direct copy of the Chesapeake and Ohio Alleghenies. Like the Alleghenies, the Blue Ridges were often used to pull very heavy coal trains. In terms of pure power, they were almost identical to the Alleghenies. They earned their nickname Blue Ridge after the mountains that they often crossed. Unfortunately, none of the Blue Ridges were preserved. But for my opinion on the Blue Ridges, I really don't care much for them. I mean, I don't hate them, I don't dislike them a lot, but I don't really like them either. So yeah, I think that the Blue Ridges belong in D tier right beside the Alleghenies. Let's move on to the final locomotive. The Western Pacific's M100 Challengers are among the most underrated American steam locomotives ever built. The M100s performed phenomenally, so much so that they received minimal to no changes to their design whatsoever throughout their careers. While their careers were relatively modest, one of them, number 402, made it to the 1949 Chicago World Fair. Ironically, another Challenger from another railroad would also be at that World Fair. Sadly, none of these underrated Challengers made it into preservation and were all scrapped during the rise of dieselization. To be honest, I love these locomotives a lot. While they may not be top tier for me, I still feel like they are really good and very underrated. Because of this, I feel as though these highly underrated locomotives belong in S tier. Now let's wrap things up. Congratulations everyone, you have finished my last video of 2025. I wanted to make this video as an extra special thank you to all of you for the continued support since I started this channel. We made it this far together, not just as a channel, but as a community and as a team. When I started this channel back in February of 2024, I knew that this was going to be a challenge, but at the same time, I couldn't help but be thrilled by the idea of having my own YouTube channel. I've seen the joy that's been spread around the community by some of the biggest names on this platform, and I feel like I wanted to spread some joy too in my own way. But numbers and milestones have never been my priority when it comes to this channel. I make videos because I'm passionate about it. I'm sharing my passion with all of you. To me, it doesn't matter whether this video reaches 1 person, 10 people, 100, 1,000, 100,000, even 1,000,000. Doesn't matter. What matters to me is that someone out there is sharing that passion that I have. But still, the fact that my videos have reached so many people, a lot more than I ever could have imagined, that really means a lot to me. It means that a lot of people share that passion. At the end of the day, big numbers and money making doesn't really matter. It's just superficial. What really matters is doing what you're passionate about and enjoying it. So go and live your life. Be passionate. Do the things you're passionate about and treat every moment like it's your last. Live your life to the fullest. Before you go though, there is one final gift I have for all of you. One that you might have been waiting for a very long time. So here it is, my final gift to all of you. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. Take care, everyone.